Well, I'm very curious. She released the emotions in 2 sessions.
Yes.
What can you share with us what some of the emotions were and how that came about? How did you affect that, or how did she affect that?
Well, her emotions were basically sadness of feeling powerless and not supported. And that was a story that she had for a long, long time, feeling that she is abandoned and not taken care of. And so for her, it was very important to go to the root cause of that story. And if you show the second slide that I brought, I can show a little bit more what that means, going to the root cause.
Yeah,
basically, in a lot of ways, our subconscious mind, as I said before, stores any and every event that ever occurred to us or with us. So all our memories is stored in the subconscious. So that you see the yellow line, which is the timeline. Let's say this is the time of our life. There is now, on the left there is a past, and on the right there is a future. And the dots on the line are events where this client felt, for example, sadness around being abandoned. So the red ones are the ones she could consciously recall. But then there are a lot of green ones that she could not consciously remember because they were subconsciously stored and not in her conscious awareness. And this is what I often see with clients that come to me after years of therapy. They say, you know, I still feel something subconsciously stored I cannot get a hold of. There is still something in my subconscious. I feel there is still some remaining emotion that I cannot get a hold of. And this was exactly the case with her. So with a technology called timeline therapy, we ask the subconscious, okay, where is the root cause? And here's the interesting thing. The subconscious has different ways of labeling where the root cause can be. So we are asking, is the root cause after your birth? Or is the root cause before birth in the womb? Or is the root cause even before that in a past life or passed down to you from your mother's or father's side? It doesn't really matter if there was a past life or not. I happen to believe there are, but I don't know. But the interesting thing is that the subconscious mind needs this specific labeling system to give us the information where the root cause is.
So how do you, as far as determining where it lies, are you using like some kind of hypnosis to do this?
People are usually in a light trance. It's almost like the state you have when you just wake up on a Sunday morning. You already know that you're in your bed, but you're still somehow in the dream world. So you're consciously aware, but you're also very, very relaxed. And that's a great state to be in, because that's a state where you can then consciously collaborate with the subconscious mind.
What kind of tools do you use to get somebody in that place? You run over to their house as soon as they wake up?
No, I think a very simple tool is to bring them above the timeline. And this is basically just introducing people to that timeline. So if you want to just show the third slide I brought, just to get a feel for what the timeline is. So this is a person where we can look down onto the top of that person. And basically these are different ways our subconscious is storing time. So there are two major ways. The subconscious stores either time in front of us so that we have this spatial feeling, oh, the future is somehow feels to the right and the past to the left, or the subconscious stores the memories front to back so that people feel, oh, the past is behind me and the future is in front of me. The amazing thing about this, I never found anybody who did not have a timeline. And when you change the timeline in its directions, it's changing people's lives. It's changed the way people are perceiving time. I had a client, for example, who had a very hard time to let go of the death of a family member. She was very, very, has a lot of sadness, a lot of grief around that. And her timeline was left to right. So she had the timeline right in front of her.
So she was right in front here. So we're looking down on the top of the head here. And her timeline was left to right, right in front of her.
Right in front of her, so she always saw.
The whole span of her life.
Exactly, and what she was always focusing on was the death of this family member. So that
Uh-huh.
trauma was always right in her visual field, in her internal visual field.
Ah,
When we released the grief and the sadness with timeline therapy and then turned the timeline so that the timeline was front to back, all of a sudden she felt like coming out into a new life, out of prison, and she felt that she can really move on because the past was now behind and she could focus on the future, which was ahead of her. So that's
So-
a very powerful tool.
so really physically she felt like the past is really physically behind me.
Yes,
And
there
my
was
future is from here forward.
exactly.
And it totally changed how she felt.
And how she
about it.
behaved. You
Wow.
know, she's dating, she's out there, she has a perspective, you know, that is more positive. I mean, her life changed, and she really attributes this to a large extent to that shifting of the timeline. So that was very, very powerful for her.
Wow.
And there was another client who had no future. You know, the timeline was dark in the future. So that person was sitting without any positive outlook of, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow. So for that person, it was sufficient just to turn up the brightness of the timeline in the future so that all of a sudden there was an internal representation for, oh, there is a future and there's actually light in the future. That in itself had a visual, physiological shift, and the person was really much, much happier and much more excited about tomorrow.
Wow. Neat. So I just want everybody to know that you are currently listening to Friedemann Schaub, and you can reach him by email at info@cellularwisdom.com. That's CELLULAR wisdom.com. And he also has a website, just www.cellularwisdom.com. And I believe, Friedemann, you also have a phone number here. Here's the phone number, 206-323-2762. So if people want to email you with questions, can they do that?
Absolutely. Actually, one of the things we talked about before the show was how important it is to give the subconscious mind a direction to where you want to go. A lot of people focus on their problems, on their pains, but not necessarily on the outcome. And the subconscious mind needs a positive outlook. The subconscious mind needs a direction where you want to go. You know, a lot of athletes, for example, use that visualization tool to visualize the way they're gonna, you know, pitch the winning pitch or whatever they do, and are very, very successful with that. And I have put together a questionnaire that I send anybody who is interested in, and send me an email that will help you to create a goal that goes way beyond what you have been able to visualize so far. Just by going through this questionnaire, you will be able to have so much momentum and energy that things are unfolding by itself. It's a very powerful tool, and I'm very happy to share this.